Hello everybody, Animation Trainer here, and today we're going to talk about Iron Man 2. So before Marvel was going to move on to new Marvel solo movies, they decided to make another sequel to their very first film, Iron Man. And so in this film, it talks about how, okay, let's not go into the story because, well, I'll talk about the story once I get to the negatives. Now, with Iron Man, it was actually pretty enjoyable. It wasn't exactly as enjoyable as the first Iron Man, but this one still had some enjoyability. And there were parts where I thought, okay, this sounds kind of interesting. And the action is all awesome. Let me talk about the two action scenes in particular that I remember here. There's the scene where Iron Man gets his little briefcase thing, and then he puts on that Iron Man suit, and it looks amazing, and then he fights Whiplash. I don't think it's exactly the best Marvel action scene, but I do think it does look really nice. Trust me, it looks amazing. It's probably just because of the Whiplash stuff and the Iron Man suit, since the action scene is actually quite short. But even then, it still does look nice. And then there's the final battle where all the where Rhodey's suit, along with all the other rope pieces of armor that they made, are starting to chase Tony. Tony and Rhodey have to end up fighting all the robots once Black Widow deactivates everything. And that final action scene does look really nice. Like, the scenery that you see in that area looks really well done, and it's pretty much like a combination of two different things. I mean, with Rhodey's armor, he just like shoots bullets rather than shooting lasers like Tony does, which is a pretty good new thing. And I really do like Whiplash's armor there as well. And speaking of Rhodey, I do like the new intro to stuff like John Cheadle taking away I forgot the old actor's name, but him taking over James Rhodes in this movie. And it also introduces War Machine in the way, because in the first film, Rhodey didn't become War Machine because they were focusing mostly on Tony's story. I also like that they introduced S.H.I.E.L.D. and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, because Black Widow ends up being a really great character in the MCU. She's not exactly my favorite superhero. I mean, I still like Cap and Thor, but she's still does amazing in the future films. And then obviously we're introduced to S.H.I.E.L.D. since when Nick Fury appeared in the first Iron Man, all he did was say, hey, Tony, would you like to help us form a team? And that was pretty much it. But here they actually introduce us to S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff. However, with all that said, this movie is not great. In fact, it's far from it. It's even known as one of the more unpopular Marvel MCU films. Like, for example, the movie is very predictable with all the subplots that go on, like how Tony wants to make a new element, has to make a new element since he's dying because his little heart thing isn't helping him that much anymore. And the S.H.I.E.L.D. story does feel predictable since they're all trying to help Tony, and eventually he's going to be part of the Avengers, which is obvious. And the love story with Pepper. That is also very predictable, and it's very obvious as well by how they execute it. It's not terrible. I mean, everything is executed well, but it's just very obvious to me. And another thing is Whiplash. He is not a good villain. He is a really bad villain. In fact, he's one of the worst MCU villains out there. He's goofy and generic And all we really know about him is that he just wants to kill Tony, and that's it. Then there's that other guy, I forgot his name, who wanted a Whiplash, I believe his name's Ivan, to help him make things like so that they could have their own pieces of armor, because in the movie they're talking to Tony saying that since he's making weapons, they're thinking of making their own suits to fight in the army. Yeah. And with that said, like I said in the very beginning of the review, there are way too many subplots. Like, for example, it talks about how Tony is dying of the robot thing. And like I said, they're making the new weapons. There's the Whiplash story. There's the story with S.H.I.E.L.D. And there's the Pepper story. Everything just feels very messy. And I forgot to talk about Rhodey's part of the story. But it is all predictable. And everything is just sloppy in this film. I mean, it's not as sloppy as something like Spider-Man 3, but like, it still feels sloppy. But unlike Spider-Man 3, there was a lot of parts I did enjoy, and all the effects do work better. Now, is this movie bad? I wouldn't say bad. In fact, I wouldn't even say it's like, not exactly like a D rating, but it's still like there's still some enjoyability out of this film. Unlike with the Incredible Hulk, where most of the film just makes you go all like, okay, okay, well, I guess it was all right. But here, there's at least some things that you'll enjoy, and there are maybe a couple jokes that work. So yeah, I'm gonna give Iron Man 2 a 7 out of 10. Now, I wouldn't, like, if you were to pick any MCU movie, I wouldn't say you should pick this. There's, like, a lot of MCU movies that are better than this. Like, go pick Civil War, The Avengers, Thor, whatever. It's just... In fact, why don't you even check out the first Iron Man? It's a lot more enjoyable than this film, and the villain isn't incredibly stupid. So, yeah. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. So, goodbye.